Welcome to the Planning Board meeting, July 16th, 2013. As you all aware, the meeting is broadcast over the local cable channel. With that, I'll open the meeting and entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Motion by John to approve the meeting minutes, seconded by Pat. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous at 5. Lena, you need to sign it.
I do.
Well, Lena wasn't here, but she can approve them, so. 81P plans, we have one tonight for 11 Roland Way, F&D Central Realty Corporation Incorporated. I will go this way, one way or another here.
There you go.
I was absent that day. I
You can
was
sign
absent.
it anyways, you can still
You want
sign
me to
it.
sign it
Yeah,
anyway?
you-
Okay, there you go.
Yep, thanks.
Anyway. I can't worry about
None of this is registered, correct?
Thank you.
So, what we have here is, we have a situation where.
Get the
we
mic.
have-
You're on TV?
All right, Robert Parks and Gary Aaron Howland Engineering, representing F&D Central Realty Corporation, South Central States 2. We have 4 lots that are pre-existing as part of the subdivision on Roland Way. The applicant built this house and sold it, and then the homeowner realized that his lot corner was right in front of his house. So he approached Mr. Afonso. Mr. Afonso agreed to adjust the lot line, come straight down here perpendicular to the roadway, create a little triangle of land that he would then swap with Mrs. Diata-Levy. Mr. Diata-Levy would then cut out this piece of land here, which would go to this lot, so that this lot wouldn't have the same situation when the time came to buy it, so that both lot lines would be somewhat parallel with the house and perpendicular to the street. So in doing so, we've adjusted lot 102B, 103B, and 104B. All the lots have adequate frontage and area.
All meet the shape factor?
All meet shape factor, correct.
Any comments, questions from the board? Hearing, I have a check for $150, by the way, in front of me.
Make a motion to sign the plan, have Larry sign the plan.
Motion by Babe to have the town planner sign the 81P,
I'll second that.
seconded by Lena. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? They're signed. Unanimous at 5.
I'm sorry, who's seconded?
Lena. I'll give you a chance, Bob, take your time. Next one will be the site plan waiver. Well, actually, we can do that one, I believe, seeing how I believe we're. Next item is site plan waiver for 42 Pine Street, Russet Realties LLC. I have in front of me a grant of extension. Requesting an extension to our meeting of the 13th of August. Is there any discussion?
Motion.
Motion by Pat to grant the extension to the 13th of August, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous at 5. Amended site plan for 20 Claflin Street, Claflin Street Nominee Trust, the Blair House. Is that yours, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. You can put that stuff up. I'll read the letter from Larry so we can put that into the minutes. The applicant requests approval of an amended site plan to allow for the construction of an expanded parking lot on the subject property. The proposed parking lot is an expansion of the existing parking lot accessed from Cemetery Street. It will be for staff parking as such. It constitutes an auxiliary use existing properties. Zoning Board of Appeals granted a special permit for the expansion at its April 11th, 2013 meeting. This proposal is substantially consistent with the approved special permit, except that the bus garage originally approved on a portion of the property will not be constructed at this time. The amended site plan as presented complies with all applicable zoning requirements and is permissible under the aforementioned ZBA special permit. Therefore, I recommend approval subject to relevant agency comments. Before I read the other comments in, I'll let Bob give his presentation.
What we have is the Blair House are in a purchase and sale agreement to purchase this piece of landlocked property from the Reddens, and for the purpose of constructing additional parking for employees. They have a parking lot that was constructed by, which is allowed and permitted by special permit and constructed off of Cemetery Street in this location here where employees park and either walk up a set of stairs here to come up to this main building or walk across the front along Cemetery Street and access the main Blair House building. So what we're proposing an additional 30 parking spaces. You can see it'll just be an extension of the lot. Traffic will enter in, come in here, and then they'll be able to service. And we proposed a stormwater basin that, according to stormwater management guidelines, will attenuate the storms for the 2, 10, and 100-year storm event with recharge requirements. The site is completely wooded right now. There's a lot of ledge on the site, which was evident here if you look at this slope. So the proposal is to expose the ledge here and either do a one-to-one or a straight vertical face with the ledge. One-to-one will be heavy riprap. The vertical face, it will just be washed off stone, wash off the face and keep it clean. Two lights will be proposed here. The service for these lights, electrical power, will be gotten from Fairfield Court, from this existing pole here, we brought into the site. Catch basin here, basically create a low point with a 1% grade going to it. Show some landscaping trees. 3 are required by the landscaping requirements, and the area, obviously the area all leading to the detention basin and around the basin will all be loamed and seeded. The existing tree line will be left in this area here. That's pretty much it. There's no services proposed other than parking.
Thank you. I'll read in the other letters from other commenting agencies. From town engineer. I reviewed the amended site plan request filed on behalf of the owner, 20 Claflin Street, AKA Blair House, for development of additional employee parking. The project includes a new paved parking area with 50 additional spaces and stormwater controls. Stormwater management calculations were all submitted with the application. The proposal does not increase the number of beds at the Blair House facility. I reviewed the submitted information and requested some minor changes, clarifications from the engineer, which were made. Stormwater management structures include a 4-bay and a retention pond, and the proposed stormwater management plan will remove 90% of the total suspended solids from the runoff site. I recommend that the application be approved. The water company has reviewed the amended site plan, has no conflicts or issues posed to the existing utility infrastructure as submitted. Fire chief, Milford Fire Department has no objections to the amended site plan. Highway Department, I've reviewed the above-mentioned plan and find it to be satisfactory. Council on Disability, existing accessible parking conforms neither to AAB regulations nor to the site plan, which indicates expansion of parking to 83 total spaces from an existing 53. Both the site plan and the AAB indicate 4 accessible spaces required as part of the 83 space total. Currently, there are only 2 dimensionally conforming accessible spaces, and two spaces lack signage. This facility provides medical care for this is not we've gone through this multiple
Right.
times with this, I'm not sure why we keep getting the same comments. Yeah, the second comment has nothing to, this is employee parking, it has nothing to do with people arriving at the site, so the second comment does not apply, as it didn't apply the first time we addressed the parking lot. Did you address the first one though, Bob, in terms of the number of handicap
Yeah,
spaces? in
I
this-
mean,
in the-
there are 4 spaces shown here within the, because he's looking at the site as a whole now. There are 4 spaces, however, only 2 of them, these 2 here, actually comply with an 8-foot aisle and an 8-foot space. These 2 were just kind of, just shown as handicap spaces. So what we did was we did a revised plan showing 8, 5 foot with an 8, which allows us to have the 4 spaces there. We've sent that via email to the Commission on Disabilities, and we have a representative here who's willing to say that that's okay. And the applicants, Blair House has already contracted with Braza to do the work, restripe, and create the walkway that needs to be,
Okay,
so.
so that's shown,
It's not shown here, but it's shown there.
shown on that plan there?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's
shown on the,
So can we get as part of the submittal, a copy of that as sort of, as revised to our site plan, so that's in our records?
sure.
Can you just put it on that Mylar, so when he signs that Mylar, it'll have that detail?
Well, I was
That
hoping
one
to
it
get
won't
the-
fit, I don't know if
I was
it'll
hoping to get
fit,
the
Larry,
Mylar
because of
tonight.
all the notes on that one and stuff, so we may need,
Oh, yeah, okay.
you probably just need him to revise that first one, so we have it for our records.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
2 questions. Bob, you talk about signage for the 4 spots,
Yes, we're gonna put signs on each of them.
okay? And will you show the location of the curb cut for the handicap spots?
It will be right in line with the aisle here.
Right in line with the
Right in
aisle?
line with the striped out, right, same as this one.
And you'll show that on the plan?
You'll show that on the plan, yes.
Okay.
And we got a copy of the original decision by the ZBA, and that's it. Comments or questions from the board?
I just have one quick comment.
Yep.
Bob, the 50 spots that you're adding, I'm assuming,
Only 30.
I'm sorry, what do they got 50?
I know, I don't know.
20, I think.
She mentioned,
Okay,
it, but
that's-
there's
I'm
only
sorry.
30.
So
I mean, it's a
maybe-
total of 50
maybe that's
when you
what
get
she's
done with
referring
it,
to.
right.
Okay.
Right, but,
Of the 30 that you're adding, I'm assuming all are required or necessary, needed presently?
yeah.
What are your plans for winter and snow storage then?
Well, we have plenty of area, room over here, and, there's,
Down hillside.
We'll build up along,
We could bring it over there.
yeah, we've got quite a bit of area for snow storage. I mean, it's not a big parking lot.
Can you just map that out then? In other words, just put it on the plan that's what you're intending on using it? Only because, did Vonnie calculate your runoff based on doing it that way as well?
Well, she didn't calculate the runoff, I calculated the runoff. She just reviewed my,
Calculate it with snow, doing it that way then? Just collecting and making sure that it's clean going into that, that's all I'm asking. Because most of your runoff was drainage runoff.
yes, it's all drainage runoff, correct.
But if you're taking snow and you're just dumping it over into it, because I'm assuming you have some sort of, you have the detention area.
Well, snow storage would be above the catch basin elevation, so anything that melts from snow storage will go into that catch basin, correct?
Will it go
I
into
mean,
the catch
obviously,
basin?
I would think that we could probably,
You could push,
we probably use.
you could
some
push
of these
the,
Spaces here, and we'll just push everything right into this section here and let it melt and then go into the basin.
Okay.
That's where they're pushing anyway.
Yeah, that's where they're gonna push, they're gonna come in and just push it. Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked you, you said you were gonna put it over with, that's why,
Well,
I'm just trying to get clear on it, that's all. You can put it wherever you like, just as long as we're calculating it, that's all.
Yeah, the number of spaces were based on their estimate of how many more staff spaces they needed, not from our zoning requirements,
Okay.
if that's any.
That was my only question, Bob, thanks.
are there any other questions or comments from the board?
That's good. I move we approve the plan.
Motion by John to approve the amended site plan, seconded by Babe.
Thanks, Bob.
Any further discussion from any members of the board? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 5.
Are you doing all right?
Bob, do you have the Mylar for that sheet?
I do, yes.
I assume that motion was with the changes to the other.
Absolutely.
I think we can handle that, Larry, as long as you get a copy of that other sheet for the board's records, but I'll sign the amended on this one. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.
Okay,
Here you go, Bob. We need copies, Larry?
yeah.
Me too. You ready? Everyone set?
Yep.
Next item is ZBA special permit, 71 to 73 Central Street, John and Maria Alves. Is there anyone here for that?
No, just a
I'll
referral.
go through Larry's letter then and have Larry. The applicant requests a ZBA special permit to allow for the addition of a fourth dwelling unit to the existing non-conforming three-family dwelling on the subject property. There will be no additions to the existing non-conforming building. The proposed additional unit is to be located in the enclosed front porch. The assessor's records show this property as a three-family dwelling, therefore I recommend an unfavorable report be forwarded to the zoning board of appeals. So this is.
I agree.
This is effectively in the 10 by 10 area, Larry? Is that where it's going?
The porch, yeah.
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 Or were there,
Well, it wasn't entirely clear from the plan.
I still am unfavorable.
yeah, I mean, I guess I don't,
It's the storefront area that they were talking about, so,
it might be those two,
yeah, it may be more than just the,
but I
10
mean, it being not,
10 by
something that we can't, we
10 by
would normally
14 or
not do, and seeing how it's not, it wasn't a four-family before, I don't know what the hardship is.
There isn't, and I
So-
don't think it's
And
legal.
they don't live there.
Unfavorable. Motion for
Motion
unfavorable.
by
Well,
Pat
you-
to send an unfavorable recommendation to the zoning board of
I'll
appeals.
second that one.
Seconded by Lena. Any
Joe?
further discussion? All
Joe,
those in favor? No?
before you take a vote, the building official is present for a different case, but he may be able to shed some light on the
Sure,
application.
John?
Yeah, what's currently there are 3 residential units plus a commercial space.
Yeah.
The present owner said that they requested from several building commissioners to go back in the 80s when they bought it, to make that into a 4th unit.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly he said, that's okay, go ahead and do it. You don't need to do anything to it as office. It's just a studio apartment. It's 10 by 10 or 10 by 12, whatever it is. It's been in place for quite some time. And everything that they recounted seems accurate from other, situations that we've encountered. So.
Oh, so it's actually in use now as a 4th unit? It's been for a while?
So if they're not
It's
gonna-
being taxed as a 3-bedroom, John, or a 3-unit?
It's being taxed as
3 in a commercial?
Has to be
plus a
3.
commercial.
So they're actually paying more taxes than they would.
Wow.
Well,
They would be paying more, I think.
Yeah, commercial rate's
well,
higher.
it doesn't even show the commercial unit on the
On the assessor sheet?
card, yeah, the assessor's sheet just shows 3 units,
Check it out.
but,
If it's 3 units, I don't have the,
Mhm.
details in front of me, so I'm gonna check on that. Whatever has the units, one is being said commercial, one is in fact being used as residential. They're not gonna add any units, they're just trying to change the use from
they're trying to
mixed use.
legitimize
They're
the,
trying to, yeah.
All residential.
And this
It's a
is,
long-standing violation.
So it's a 1-year zoning violation effectively.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm still,
Mr.
I'm opposed.
I'm still,
I'm opposed to it.
my motion stands.
Well, I guess if it's been this way, well, I guess
Well,
everybody has their own. I mean, if it's been this way and they're trying to legitimize something that's been this way for 20-something years, I'm not sure that I'm as adverse to it if
Well,
it's actually been this way.
well, we don't know that for certain, number one. Number two, just because you've been doing it wrong for all these years doesn't now finally make it right. With that said, I mean,
Sets a precedent.
it should be,
Well-
it should be a 3 tenement, that's it.
I would tend to agree, except for the fact that there may have been past building departments that said to go ahead and do it and stuff, and I'm not sure that.
And I can't speak to that, and I won't speak to that, so.
With that being said, we have a unfavorable recommendation to the ZBA
A
by
second.
Pat, seconded by Lena. All those in favor? 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
Who's opposed?
Me.
Thank you.
Thanks for the information, John. ZBA variance special permit, 38 Pine Island Road, Scott Lanzetta.
I'm recusing myself.
Yep. Pat will be recusing himself from this.
Didn't look on here.
I've seen these somewhere before.
Oh, okay.
Attorney Petnari?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Ernie Petnari. My law office is at 12 Main Street in Milford. I'm here tonight with Mr. Lanzetta and Mr. Parkson from Derriere and Halnan. Mr. Lanzetta is the owner of the piece of property that's situated at 38 Pine Island Road, which is highlighted on the plans in front of you. He's also the owner of a piece of property across an existing deeded in fee right-of-way that he has renovated substantially since his acquisition, and he presently occupies that property as his summer house. Ultimately looking to move into that as his primary residence at some point in the future. The property across the right-of-way became available recently. It's presently the site of a building that's in relatively deplorable condition. It's considerably dilapidated. He purchased the property and now seeks to restore the property. Because the property is situated on a lot which, when originally laid out, was only 4,500 square feet, he would need a special permit to do anything on the property. Because he seeks to establish a new structure on the property with a deck toward the rear of the property overlooking the right-of-way toward the lake, he will also need a variance because he will be adding to the nonconformity in terms of those setbacks. The proposal otherwise, in general, will actually reduce the amounts of nonconformities with respect to the side yard and rear, front yard setbacks. And the obvious intent of the application would be that he would take this piece of property, which is significantly run down, renovate it, make it something nice, and presently the plan would be for his son to occupy it as his primary residence. We believe that it's a variance and special permit, which lends itself very well to the kinds of things that have been happening in the town over recent months and years, that it would be the restoration and rehabilitation of a piece of property which presently is not contributing anything substantial to the tax base, and in this case would be restored and added to the tax base, and it would be first-class construction, just a two-bedroom house up on the lake. He's here if you have any questions about his intentions. I'm here if you have any questions about the legals, and Bobby, obviously, if you have any questions about engineering.
Okay, with that, I'll read the town planner's letter.
Yes, sir.
Applicant requests variance and/or special permit to replace an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling with a new single-story, single-family dwelling on the subject property. 4,064 square foot lot in question predates zoning. Proposed dwelling will be 44 by 28 and be located at approximately the same distance from the property line as the current house. Because the proposed dwelling will extend beyond the existing footprint, the requested relief is necessary. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report be sent to the zoning board of appeals. Does the board have any questions of any of the people that are here?
Yeah, are the houses around you full-time, or are they summer?
Pretty much 80% and 90%, 85, 90% of them are trying to become full-time residents. I am gonna move into the house and I just renovated within like a year or so. And I like to renovate this and get my son involved. And move in there and get himself a mortgage and hopefully get a mortgage and purchase it and get him going in life, so that's my
Okay,
intent.
nice.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll move
Entertain a
to,
motion?
I'll move to send a favorable recommendation.
Motion by Lena to send a favorable recommendation to the ZBA. Hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All those in favor? Unanimous at 4.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate it, thank you.
All right, Scotty. I didn't realize there were that many full-timers.
Yeah, quite a few of them are changing.
We keep changing.
I was gonna say, God, they ought to be walking by now.
Get out of here, will you? God, listen, get out.
ZBA special permit, 231 East Main Street, Star Car Rental. Is there anyone here for that?
No, it was just
Just
referral.
go through
yeah.
the town planner's letter then. The applicant requests a special permit to establish a car rental business on the subject property. The car rental business will be located in the 2,157 square foot space previously occupied by Settles Glass. The plans submitted with the application are sufficient for generally determining the use questions under the special permit application. However, they are not detailed enough to verify off-street parking requirements for the overall property in the context of planning board site plan review. In addition, a Class II license will be requested from the selectmen to facilitate the owner's occasional purchase of vehicles to lease, although there will be no on-site auto sales of any kind. Therefore, I recommend a favorable report be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the use authorization only. The actual number and placement of rental vehicles will be determined by the planning board at a formal site plan review. And as to the Class II license, there will be no vehicles offered for sale on the property. Town planner, Larry Duncan. Anything else to offer with it, Larry?
Just that this is relocating Star Car from their site in Nathaniel Plaza across the street over to this site, so,
This is the same gentleman that routinely parks the cars out front even though that he's not supposed to, correct?
his wife runs the business, yes.
Okay, this is the same person. Forgive
That's
me.
why I suggested that any of the particulars come in when you guys review the site plan.
Yeah, we did that the last time and it didn't seem to work
Didn't
so
help.
well. I'm just talking out loud, but
Well, it may work better this
it
time.
didn't help at all.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing, if they are successful with the zoning board, I think we should also require them to, if they're moving out of the other one, is to update the other site plan, to come in with that one also, seeing how we have dedicated site, my recollection is we have dedicated parking spots for
Yes, for
vehicles
them.
and such, so he
Right.
needs to modify that one as well.
Yeah, and they would need to come back for that anyway because of the change of use of the new use going into their space that they're vacating.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there any questions, comments from the board?
No, I make a motion to give a favorable recommendation.
Motion by Babe to send a favorable recommendation on the use to the zoning board of appeals. Do I hear a second?
Not from me, no.
Do I hear another motion then?
Well, I'm assuming someone else might second it.
I don't know, I'm not hearing anything from anyone else
I'll
either.
second that.
Seconded by Lena. All those in favor of sending a favorable recommendation to the zoning board of appeals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
3 in favor, 2 opposed. Pat and John were the 2 opposed.
Thank you. You may want to make.
We have a
You may want to make notes.
General discussion item with Anthony Fallon, 49 Cedar Street,
Site plan
site lighting concerns.
to the ZBA.
Mr. Fallon?
How you doing?
You may, I'm just saying.
I have some concerns on the lighting at 49 Cedar Street.
These are the plans just for our,
I look at yours and
your address so we know,
10 Ravenna Street,
and in relationship to the site, you would be.
a butter.
Thank you. And your concerns are in which sense?
Well, I had some concerns, and I called the town hall, and I
Right behind it.
think I spoke to Larry, right,
Mm-hmm.
the town planner, and when I asked him about the lights, he had told me that the plan only showed 4, but he'd go down and talk to the occupant about the 5th light next to my house. When I got back in touch with him, he said the 5 lights are fine, but if I had a problem with them shining on my property, that I should call Mr. Erickson. Took me almost 2.5 months to get Mr. Erickson to come down and look at the lights shining on my house or get a response from him. And when I finally got a response, because I wrote a letter to a lot of people, he said that the lights were okay. Brian Murray came down to my house Monday night after the selectmen's meeting, and he viewed the lights from outside my house and how they shine inside my house. Brian came into my house. He said this was absolutely ridiculous. They should not be shining on your house. And a day later, the light next to my house was off. I have some questions on how long that light's going to be off. Will it be turned back on? Will it not shine on my property? And there are other lights that shine onto my property that make it difficult for me to enjoy the back of my house. I have pictures, I don't know how to show them to you. They're on my computer and on my phone that show how bright these lights are. It's like having a carnival next to my house every night.
Is it still like that even though the one light is out?
The one light is out, doesn't shine on the side of my house, doesn't shine into my bedroom, which I'm very grateful for, my daughter's bedroom. But the other 2 lights, the light in the middle of the property illuminates my entire backyard all the way to 14 Ravenna Street.
Where is it aiming?
As far as I can tell, they were aiming down, because I took a run down here, and the lights all seem to be aiming down at the parking lot. They're not aimed back towards any of the off-street locations.
Is there a cover on them? I haven't seen them.
Could they be shielded, gentlemen?
Yeah.
The shields are required to be installed at the manufacturers when they're assembling the lights. They don't have an aftermarket or attachable one you can do on site.
I can't stand
I
that.
went,
You know, they get you over the barrel, don't they? They don't bother to tell you that after the fact.
I went down on Friday night and seen it, and the light was out, and the rest of the parking lot was lit like it's supposed to be. And I went back Saturday to make sure that they were downward pointing lights, and they were, so I got no problem with them.
No, but if their plan is to resurrect that light that they've shut off, I guess, before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's why I was questioning the shielding
No,
capabilities.
absolutely. That light, they shut it off, so I don't, unless it's modified, I don't see it turning it on. No.
John, did you go down? What, in terms of what you saw down there?
Oh, yeah, I went down, sorry, can you come up to the mic?
Who's that guy?
Yeah, I did go down to the property several days or a week or so after I spoke to Mr. Fallon. The lights are not a zoning violation.
Mm-hmm.
They are installed in accordance with the site plan that was approved. And there is some light illuminating onto his property, but in the context of zoning, it's not a zoning violation. It may be violating some other ordinance, but not anything that would be enforced through my department. It may or may not be, I can't speak to that. But I did consult with town council over this.
That's fine, hold on one second. At the time being, you've taken it offline.
We haven't. John actually did for his test, for him to do the site survey when he was out there. That's the only reason it's off.
With their
Yeah,
permission.
Gonna go back on again?
I hope so, because I spent a substantial amount of money for the parking lot and the security of the building when it's not occupied, and for the patrons of the facility when they go out to their cars. All we did was follow the site plan
Yes.
that was approved, and we will definitely do what we can. We looked into the lights from the company that we bought them from, and we can't buy a shield from them. So what we're gonna have to do is try to modify the light and make some kind of a shield to try to keep the light from washing onto. Nothing is directed towards anybody's property. The lights are manufactured to shine straight down, and then there's just a cast of light that goes on the outside of them. But I just want the board to understand our situation where we just follow the site plan
Right.
review or approval, and put something, and now there's a substantial amount of money on that pole that, you know, we didn't put it up just to shut it off a month after we did it. I understand their situation, and we're willing to do what we can to work with it, but we certainly didn't go to those means and those expenses to shut it off a month after we installed them, so.
That's really understandable, and he also has a valid point that it is shining in his house, and I'm sure
I
that
think both of us are in a situation.
you need to
that
talk
we-
to each other, I would think, and make some kind of agreement.
That would sound logical. I don't know that that's gonna be able to
Yeah,
happen.
okay.
but-
Well, go ahead, I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted John to finish, because I'm somewhat confused in terms of you shutting it off, or when you went down, I just wanted to
Yeah,
understand what was going on.
with Mr. Usher's permission, I went down, I went down one night with them all on to check it, took my own photos, and then wanted to compare how much it was casting onto that property. There's also a street light in the neighborhood, and, you know, the only way I could figure out what the effect would be to disconnect one. So, you know, again, with his permission, I went down the next night, shut it off, took some more photos, and it does make a marked difference on Mr. Fallon's property.
Do you think there's would there be, if they're able to work out some sort of shielding on it, would it make a significant difference on the amount of light that's going into his property?
Well, it would make some difference. It's difficult to say how much. You know, it's a similar situation to that. You know, if the hallway were cast dark and this room's bright, and we open that door, you know, there's no light
Light
shining
washes
on
out,
it, but
yeah.
it's going to spill and reflect off of surfaces.
How many fixtures are on that pole? Is that
There are two on that pole.
two on that pole?
And I wasn't able to disconnect just one. You'd need a bucket truck for that. I was able to disconnect the
You
two
say
of them
disconnected down low, so you
from the
disconnected
ground.
both?
So, you know, we left it off after a discussion with Mr. Usher until tonight's hearing. And I don't know what his intentions are. I know what his intentions are. I assume to try and solve it based on what he just said, but specifics, I don't know.
Why don't we let him see what he can do to divert the light away from the property?
Well, yeah, I mean, it would seem reasonable if they can come up with some
Exactly.
sort of
Right.
some sort of a shield. I mean, it's horrible that they can't sell you one after the fact, because I'm sure you didn't, those weren't cheap lights by any means, but at the end of the day, this is where they have you over the barrel, but nonetheless, unfortunately, even though we approved the plan, if it's creating a burden to a neighbor, unfortunately, we can't sit idle. We have to do something to try to resolve it. So, I mean, I'm not a lighting expert by any means, and I'll never be one, but we have to come up with some sort of compromise that deflects the light to the best of our abilities away from his house.
Just one more question. What about the other neighbors? Have they made any complaints within the neighborhood?
Yeah, the other neighbors have actually been very, very supportive, and they enjoy it for their own security and their adjacent properties,
Oh.
whether they're across the street or another abutter on, in the same situation that Mr.
And,
Fallon's.
and is some of the lights shining in their
It's exactly the
backyard? It's the
It's
same?
exactly the mirrored image of the same situation.
But they don't have bedrooms facing the property.
Okay, all right.
I'm not aware.
I just was curious to see about the neighborhood itself, how it
Let's let him
affects it.
take a shot at it and see how it comes out.
Yeah, I think we would, I think you need to try to work as best you can to try to shield off the lighting and see if we can get it down to a reasonable level.
On just the one pole or on,
Well, I went down the others. I mean, it's been a commercial area, and it's had lighting on it for a lot of years. So, I mean, to think that we're not gonna light this for this type of usage, I think is a bit of a stretch. And in the other areas, and especially, there's gonna be some amount of spillover. I don't think there's any way of controlling it, but being in this location, I don't think, the owner can do anything else, and it being its usage, it needs to be lit, so I don't think we can.
Well, these are
change all the
significantly
lights.
different lights than what were there, too. I mean, these are significantly different lights than what was already there, so I mean, the lights in
higher,
the,
there's more,
But-
the wattage is greater?
The wattage is lesser, they're all brand new LEDs.
What happens now is these lights are directed down where the old
Mhm.
ones.
Yeah.
At an angle from the building, so if anything, these don't have a direct light. They might have a wash, like Mr. Erickson had said, but they don't shine directly at somebody, you know, so.
Except for the one in question that you've taken
And it
offline.
still shines directly down, but it has a wash.
But that, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, this plan came before your board and years ago, or I don't know how long ago, but, and we're gonna do whatever we can, but we definitely have concerns about our patrons and about securing the property at night, and make sure that it's, safe and it's able to be monitored by the police as they.
Just out of, just a stupid question, and again, I'm not a lighting guy at all. If you were to reduce the height of the pole, would that reduce the wash effect? And just curious, like I said, I am not a lighting guy, I'm just asking dumb questions.
Neither am I, so I would probably not be able to answer that.
I'm just, you know,
Common sense would say it might, or it should.
just another option to
General
perhaps
intensity
entertain.
would.
What did you say?
General intensity would normally, if you look at the intensity curves, if they're down lower, the spread would be somewhat less. But you know, it depends on how much of this is actually reflecting per se, as opposed to, you know,
Right.
you start getting into those things and I'm
I
not
have
sure.
a picture if anybody would like to see how it illuminates the side of my house.
No, I
No, I
agree
think,
that it doesn't.
I think it's been established that there's some degree of flood that goes into your property. I mean, I don't think there's anyone saying that. I think they're just trying to come up with a reasonable solution that everyone could buy into, so to speak. And I don't know what the solution is, whether you do something with the height of the pole, or you do something with.
We'll start working with maybe a shadow box or something first. I think that would be a little easier.
Yeah, like I said,
Is an extensive operating procedure.
I would think it would be
Keith, they
expensive.
make a directional light that shine out and down rather than
Or
just
just
down.
turn, do
Designed
the,
with any kind of direction on it.
the
It-
box
it's-
No, I knew that.
and only do
I knew
one
that
light
head
on,
did. I didn't know if there was
because there are
another
two
head
lights
that
on
you
that pole.
I mean, with the
The
expense
shadow
on
light.
that,
Yeah.
and I don't think they're gonna let me return it. I think
No.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
look for
sure.
about $2,500. Because of the LED and saving, you know, green lighting and
Right.
saving energy, we're already fully invested in that. It's not a $250 high-pressure sodium light or something.
Oh, these aren't Home Depot specials. No, we know that. I mean, believe it, we know that.
Yeah.
So,
Just, go ahead, Lena.
so you could keep it off until you find a solution
We
to the
will,
shield
yeah.
on it, you would
Yeah.
keep it off?
Well, unless we have an event, I would, you know, I mean, as of right now, and I'm not a lawyer or a lighting specialist, but I do have an obligation to keep my patrons safe also.
Absolutely.
So if we had an event,
Absolutely.
I would ask the board that we were able to put the light on for an event until we were able to do something, and we will move forward and try to do something to rectify it. And then at that point, when we have something that we feel is good, I'd invite the board down to take a look and view the site, you know, at night, and you guys make a determination on what
Okay.
is unreasonable or reasonable.
Sounds good.
That sounds fair.
But
That sounds-
that parking lot is lit fantastically without that off. That corner is not without light.
Oh, I
There's
have
a light
not been
coming off
down,
the side of the
unfortunately,
building.
but I will definitely go down
There's a
tonight.
street light right there on the corner.
Okay.
It is not dark at all. I don't believe that light needs to go back on until they solve the problem.
Well, that's what we were just discussing.
Well, he
I
said
mean,
if he has a function, he's gonna turn it back on.
Well, he would have to put it on for his patrons that come as they go in and out of the parking lot.
But the
But
parking
he
lot is,
could,
go ahead, I'm
he
sorry.
could turn it off later that night, or, I mean,
They go off at 2:00 in the morning right now.
they go off at 2? Okay, that I didn't know, all right.
All right, let's throw out another option. You have two lights on that pole. Is it possible, to John's point of bringing a bucket truck and taking the one that seems to be in question and taking that one off and leaving the other one on?
I would say that if the shadow box doesn't solve our problem,
Well-
we'll try another avenue.
I'm
I
just
think
trying to
Pat's
appease
trying to do it
everyone.
in terms of
I'm just trying to
between you
appease
getting
everyone.
the shadow box there, if we took one of those out of service now, so that if you had a function,
Function.
you'd only have one of those lights on, not both of them.
Well, we'd have to get up to take the photocell down. We could certainly look into that. I don't know what the effect is gonna be as far as this, you know, safety and security of the parking lot. And the one thing I wanna say, and I'm sure you guys are very aware of this, but we didn't design this lighting thing. I mean, there was a company that designed it when they did this engineering company for lighting, and I don't believe Gary yet does that. and it was sent out to another company. So this is their plan and their design and what they felt as though needed to be lit. And we just followed that plan.
And we did too. And again, so we all make the same, we're all making the same acknowledgements. We're not lighting specialists.
Go.
However, we all have to now come together and come up with a good compromise that makes everyone happy.
Right.
That's why I said, if in the immediate time being, you took that one light in question off, you turned the other one on,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's a decent compromise to your primary purpose, which is your patrons, which I can certainly recognize,
Yeah.
and his concerns about not shining into his house. So I'm just, again, until we come up with a shadow box that's reasonable,
On a temporary basis,
Yeah.
we'll get something.
until the shadow box or something to that degree. That works for me. I mean,
Yeah, I think it works good.
it's the best we can do at this point, because it's,
Joe, just in terms of this, the evolution of this site plan, substantially the same site plan as far as the lighting fixtures go was approved back in 2005, as I recall. And it's had several iterations as far as possible tenants on the site over that period of time. The site plan that this approval for the current business is operating on is the one you're looking at, which was approved in 2011.
Right.
So between even 2005 and 2011, let alone to this year, I think the lighting industry has evolved beyond potentially what the original site plan had intended. So there may be, some bad pun, but disconnect there in terms of location or whatever. But it had been approved, and they were in the proper locations as installed.
I mean, I think it's always an issue. I mean, it's a very difficult issue for the board to, looking at a plan, we always make sure that the lighting's pointed away. Those fixtures, I know, predominantly just come straight down. They're nice fixtures, and I mean, this is just a wash situation, which is very tough to predict as to what it's going to look like or not. So it makes it very difficult for us to be able to look at a plan and say, oh, we're going to have an issue with that or not, because you're just not going to be able to see that. And obviously, there is a need to light this parking lot. And I mean, in any of the uses that were there, there was a need to do that. So I think the best that we can do is try to minimize that as best we can with what's available to us at this point, and we'll see where that takes us. That being said, I don't know what else the board can do.
So, Mr. Fallon, I think that both you people need to get together and work it out somehow and see what happens when he gets the shield on it and that sort of thing, and back and forth. And
If,
you have to give him his due. I mean, he's paid a lot of money for that, for those lighting and everything. So I think he's being understanding to you by shutting that one off.
Sure, right now, yeah?
Yeah.
if you're able to get a hood on it or something, and you're able to work something out, if you could give the town planner a call, so that way he can get a notice out to us, because especially if that happens before our next meeting, I'd like to at least take a trip down and see what it looks like at that point, just to be able to monitor that to some extent. And however it works, however it's working out, if you could call, our next meeting is
August 13th.
August 13th. If you could just give us an update. If you're not able to have a hood at that time, I'd at least like to know that you're still looking into it and what you're doing, and that you've disconnected the one light and at this point, just so we know what's going on.
Certainly will.
Thank you.
Sounds fair.
Could I have someone contact me? Come down and view the lights from my point of view? I mean, I know you stand in the parking lots and you see the lights, but it's a lot different from my back deck.
Larry, can you get, and I say this only because, and I'm certainly not speaking ill about her, but in Mike's day, Mike would have more of an active role in instances like this. Do you think perhaps you can get Vonnie?
I can check, see what her availability is. She wasn't involved in any of this initially.
No, but I know, but
so-
unfortunately, I'm just reminiscing of how Mike used to be involved with occurrences like this, and unfortunately or fortunately, Mike,
To the extent that she can give her professional opinion. I mean, any one of us can go down, but that doesn't mean anything, to be totally honest.
right.
Yeah.
So, I
He's
mean,
the town engineer, and
yeah.
unfortunately, we do, and again, not to be fresh, but we get paid $2,000, you guys get paid a hell of a lot more. I mean, forgive me, but I mean, to Joe's point,
You get paid?
$1,924, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Anyhow, I mean, let's
I'll
be
check
fair,
with it
let's
and
be
see
fair
what
to the
the schedule-
volunteers of the group here. I mean, it comes a point in time that you guys have to step up a little. And again, not being fresh,
Well, let's see, yeah,
I'm
let's
just
see
speaking
what
because
the-
I remember how Mike used to be. And Mike, if there was ever a problem, used to come down and whisper in your ear, and it seems like the problems always went away, so, that's all.
Yeah, I'll mention
Very
it to her, and
professional
then we'll
manner,
see
by the
what
way.
they, let's see what they come up with, and in the
Yeah, but I
meantime,
mean-
I'll check with her.
I think that,
Yeah.
to Mr. Fallon's point, I think Vonnie perhaps could get involved in this, and, that's all.
Who was that?
Town engineer.
Town engineer, Vonnie
engineer?
Reese, R-E-I-S, Vonnie.
V.
That's what I said, Vonnie.
No, I know.
Yeah, we can see what she says in terms of hers, and certainly, John, to the extent that you're able to add anything or put anything in terms of lighting characteristics down there, if there's anything else that you can add, please feel free to send us something before the next meeting.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the
Motion.
meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Pat, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous at 5.